Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Doug Graham, author of the 80-10-10 Diet. I have the pleasure today of interviewing my dear friend Lissa Maris for Let's Cook Raw. And without more than that, let's get right to it, Lissa. I mean, you've done so much. You've written a bunch of books, you've lectured all over the world, you've conquered many careers. You are now helping others promote themselves in a really big way, including me, which I appreciate immensely. And I want to find out more about you and let our audience know a bunch more about you. So if you're ready, let's start with, let's go way back in time and do like the health history, if that was part of your change in diet.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Doug, for having me on. It's such a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. And yeah, I'm so excited for everything that we've been doing with Let's Cook Raw and all the other stuff that I'm doing. But yeah, for the health stuff, let's see. I've always been fairly lean for elementary, high school, junior high until I graduated. After I graduated, I started eating all the junk. I had moved out on my own and I was able to eat whatever I wanted, right? So I ate all of that stuff and then I started to gain weight. And when I was about 21, I was diagnosed with Candida and I was about 180 pounds. I was depressed, hated my life. I was trying to be somebody that I didn't want to be. So we went on this trip once with my family, and my mom was kind of doing like the kinesiology muscle testing on me, and I was holding a bag of potato chips and she's like, "You can't have those anymore." And I'm like, "Oh no." So she had me go to the naturopath where I was diagnosed with Candida and pre-diabetes symptoms, but not actually pre-diabetes, like syndrome X, they called it, or she told me it was back then. So I had like issues with blood sugar, severe cravings, yeast infections, bladder infections like crazy. And so I went on this anti-candida diet, which was basically, I ate oats in the morning. I didn't do carbs past the morning. And I would just do like lean meat and steamed broccoli or asparagus or something for dinner. And I did that with the bentonite yeast cleanse kit or whatever for 9 months.
Holy cow.
Now, yeah, 9 months. Now I was restricting my calories down, obviously, because I had nothing to eat. I was eating very, very little. So I naturally lost the weight, but I was starving the entire time. My candida symptoms had gone away for the most part, but I wanted to continue doing it to get rid of everything. And there was just something in me that was like, I need carbs. I was like so tired of not eating carbs, and I had lost so much weight that I went off the diet and I started binging on stuff. And then with time, after a couple of years, I had gained all the weight back and my symptoms all came back. My blood sugar issues were horrible. And I had dealt with severe acne since I had left high school. So acne had been with me until I went raw in 2014. So I was dealing with cystic acne, bumps and stuff, like all kinds of issues. And I was also very anxious and depressed. So I would pick at my face as well, kind of subconsciously in a way, either out of anxiety or also out of a belief that I wasn't good enough or that I wasn't pretty enough or whatever. So I would subconsciously do it to make myself like undesirable in a way. So there was a lot of underlying emotional, psychological stuff that was going on at the same time. And I felt that if I ate the food, I would be undesirable in a way because I would gain the weight and I wouldn't look the way I felt inside. Even though I felt depressed, I would want to feel healthy. But yeah, so all of that, that kind of emotional stuff. So then in about 2004, I had started working at a health food store in 2001, where I was doing, I was in school to do nutritional consulting, and I was getting trained by my boss who had his Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, and he was helping us to become nutritional consultants for him. And I was learning everything, and I was so excited to learn about health, but it just like there was something inside me that didn't believe that I could be healthy or that I had the power to do it. And I had all of these limiting beliefs on myself too, so I never really stuck with anything for in that respect. But in 2004, that's when I discovered the raw diet in so many words. It was the Mucusless Diet Healing System by Arnold Ehret. So I read that book when I was 24, and it made a lot of sense, but I wasn't ready for it at the time. I also didn't understand the whole vegan connection thing. I had vegan coworkers, but only one of them was a nice vegan. The other ones were all mean vegans, and they were all like making me feel bad for what I was eating, but she didn't. She was more of an example. She was beautiful for 33. I thought she was like my age, like 24, right? She was gorgeous, and she did her own thing. She was raw, and she didn't preach it or anything. She just did her thing, and if people had questions, she'd answer them. And she was really a lovely soul, and I was like, well, if I'm vegan, I want to be like her, right? So I never had the vegan connection. So for the next 10 years, from 2004 to 2014, I struggled with my weight, my acne, joint pain. I had severe joint pain. I'd have to roll my ankles in bed for like 5 minutes in the morning to get them ready to get out of bed. It was horrible. And my female cycle was way out of whack. Like I was sometimes would go 9 months without a period, and they were extremely painful. And what else? Oh my gosh, like the cravings and the candida. And I just had candida ever since I was like 19, right? And bladder infections every 2 months.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah, it was horrible, and you just go by every day. You're like, this is life, right? Because you don't know any different. So for those 10 years, I tried countless times to be raw. But in 2006, I read David Wolf's book, The Sun Food Diet Success System. And in there, it was very high fat oriented. So there's like lots of avocados, lots of nuts, your greens and your sprouts and stuff, right? So I would try to do raw. I'd do it for like a week or two. I think the longest I went was 2 months. But it was high fat, and I was having cravings all the time. And yeah, sure, I felt good because I wasn't eating the junk and the animal products, but I didn't feel my best. I didn't feel like I was like, this is it, that I found it, right? I felt better, but the yeast didn't go away. The bladder infections didn't go away. And I'd get sick every couple weeks with some kind of cold or flu or something. And so I would try other diets. I'd be like, well, maybe raw isn't for me, even though I resonated with it so much. So I tried the Weston A. Price thing where I did the raw meat and the raw dairy and the raw eggs with the veggies. I tried keto. I did paleo for a couple months. I lost weight, but I had zero energy. I was even sent home from the gym by my personal trainer because I had no energy. I couldn't do a pull-up. I was like, I can't. She's like, just go home. But I was always calorie restricting or eating too high fat. So then finally in 2014, after I had done that keto challenge at the gym, I had lost weight. But then after the keto challenge, because I was so carb deprived, I binged on potato chips, which is like not even really a real carb. It's like carb and fat. So I binged on that. And then the next day I'm like, okay, I'll get back to it. Right? Binged on something else. The next day, okay, I'm going to get back to it tomorrow, but I'm going to eat this one last thing. Right? And then that just snowballed, and I went way up to almost 200 pounds.
Oh, you're an overachiever.
It was like insane. So the couple months before I finally committed to raw in 2014, I was eating a bag of Doritos for breakfast. I was eating like chicken fingers or fried chicken and potato wedges with sour cream for lunch. I was snacking on candies, 1 to 2 energy drinks a day, plus coffees. And my token vegetable was like a cup of steamed broccoli with my meaty pasta at night, right? Like, because I'd feel guilty. I didn't have any veggies. So finally, in 2014, I woke up one night with the heart palpitations from the energy drinks and my shitty diet. And it was like almost, I would say 4 nights out of the week, I would wake up at 3 a.m. with my heart flutters, and I would feel like I couldn't breathe, and I'd be like, right. And I feel like I was having a heart attack. So then I couldn't get to sleep for the next hour, because I'd be like, what if I actually did have a heart attack? Right. And it was every night almost. And so I got to the point where I was like, I didn't want to go to sleep, because I knew this was going to happen. So finally I was like, this last night, I'm like, that's it. I have to change, because if I don't change, this is actually going to happen. So I dug into my old journals on raw. I'm like, I got to go raw again. And this time I binge watched Fully Raw Christina's videos, and I found some other YouTubers, because I had always loved Fully Raw Christina's stuff, and I'd always watch her stuff whenever I try to be raw. But this time I binge watched, and I was reading in some of the comments, people were like, read Doug Graham's book, watch Cowspiracy, Earthlings, Forks Over Knives, all of that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get the book. So I ordered your book and I watched the documentaries. I watched all 3 of them back to back. And then after that, I was like, I guess I'm vegan. And it was like, that was the turning point moment of my life. It was September 12th of 2014. So I got your book right away, and I read through that. I was like, this makes so much sense, because I had never done the low fat version. In the natural health industry, we're indoctrinated to use tons of oils: coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil is the best for everything. You need your fish oils, you need your flax oil, and your everything, like oil, 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 oil. And I was always indoctrinated to need all these oils, and it was causing a lot of issues in me. So I was scared. To do no oil and also low fat. I was like, oh my gosh, is this legit? But Christina had been doing it. You wrote the book, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try. Within the first 2 weeks or whatever, I was like, this is so easy. It was so easy to stick to it. And then I was in the groups, trying to get help and helping other people and with our experiences. And everyone was like, eat enough, make sure you eat enough, make sure you eat enough. And I'd always been a calorie restrictor to lose weight. So I was like, okay, I'm going to eat enough. I'm going to eat enough. I'm going to eat low fat. Because if I'm not eating the fat, I got to eat some other stuff, right? So that was a turning point for my life, was the low fat. That's why I'm so on board with that. And eating enough, because so many people don't eat enough when they go raw. They're eating 800, 1,000 calories a day. And you're like, well, no wonder you're hungry. No wonder you can't get through this. So that was a turning point. I lost 70 pounds in 14 months. I cleared up my acne. My acne is completely clear. My hormones stabilized after about 8 months. I have had regular cycles for over 5 years.
Less painful?
Almost no pain. I some months I have 0 pain. Other months it just feels heavy. That's it. You're just like, I just need to sit down or whatever. But it's only for a couple hours, if that. And if I have any, it's just super slight, a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. So it's greatly improved. My hair has become thicker over the last couple of years too. I think, it could be a number of reasons, but I think also because I've started to add daily sprouts to my diet over the last year. And I don't know if that's helped with, I've always had thin hair, but now I feel like it's thicker for some reason. I don't know. It could just be me. Yeah, right. My skin has improved so much. And I haven't been sick in 6 years. My 6-year anniversary will be September 12th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I haven't been sick in those entire 6 years. And I haven't had a bladder infection or a yeast infection. My candida is completely gone. I haven't had a symptom of candida in at least 5.5 years.
And you know how to get it all back if you want all that stuff.
That's so true. I call that the trap. It's funny, when people are really healthy, they get over their health issues, they're feeling amazing, everything's going good. They're like, well, I could have that. I'm feeling good. I'm doing good on this and that. Now I could do that. That's the trap, right? It's like, why would you even bother using something that you knew that was causing issues in the first place? Even a little in moderation. My personal view, moderation is just a term we use to justify things we already know we shouldn't eat. Right?
course.
Because you know you're gonna have it in moderation. You always use moderation, well most people do, to justify it, because you're like, oh well, I haven't had chips in like 2 weeks, I eat them in moderation. But it's like, well, what's moderation? There's no such thing as perfect moderation, because what's moderate for me might not be moderate for you, and there's no way of measuring perfect moderation. So to me, abstinence works best, because if I just say no to everything, right, I can say yes to my health.
I
So
know, I know for me, I want to get healthier, and it's like driving down the road. If
mhm,
the other roads might be very interesting and even alluring, but if they're not going to take me where I want to go, I'm not going on those roads. I'm going
exactly.
where I want to go.
Mhm.
And that's just how it is. Quite the story.
Thanks.
As as everyone has quite the
Everyone.
story. Yeah, we really all do have quite the story. So we'll get there to the part about how your profession has morphed
Mm.
as a result of your diet experiment. But did you notice? Did you notice like social effects, like people like you more or less, or it? How did you? How did you? Did you
Maneuver.
smoothly dance through all the trying to be a person of influence without being a pain in the butt?
That's a great
Did you
question.
lose friends? Did you gain friends? What was the net result socially?
Oh, socially, well, September 12th was the first day of my new life, and I had no idea that it was at
Right.
the time. Now, when I look back, it changed everything. Like, I divorced the person I was with. I moved to a new country. I'm remarried now. I have a business surrounding raw foods. Um, like I have a different outlook on myself and life, and I have a different circle of friends as well. So that day was a turning point, and I didn't know it. I didn't know that I was going to lose friends. And I didn't lose friends because they didn't like me. I lost friends more because our lifestyles just didn't mesh anymore. And it's not that we don't like each other,
Mhm.
but we just don't do the same things anymore. And I'm still inspiring those people, because it's not like we're not friends. We just don't hang out anymore. We don't chat anymore. I sometimes will check up on some of my older friends. I'll send them messages and stuff, and we'll banter a little bit, but it's not anything like deep friendships as much as the new friendships that I have. And it took a long time to get those new friendships. I had to seek them out. I had to find them online and meet in person. I had to find them at festivals. I had to connect with people and really help them as well, like share our experiences together. And
Yeah.
this created a deeper friendship with people who were, I don't want to say on the same level, because levels make people feel inferior. It's not that. It's that we're on a different page in a different book. That's really all it is. So we're there together and we can experience life with the same mindset. So yeah, I did lose friends. My ex at the time, he was supportive uh, to a certain extent. And like he's a great human being and stuff, but our lives just weren't like, after I'd lost all the weight and I started to become an influence on social media, not like I was a big influence, but I had started to gain momentum.
Mhm.
Things just started to show themselves, I guess. And we just decided mutually that it would probably be best if we split ways. And then like, yeah, it was really difficult socially, like after we split up in kind of the dating scene, because it was like, oh well, now it's going to be interesting. But luckily I found Nate,
Yeah.
who had purchased one of my books, and he followed my recipe plan. He lost 60 pounds, and I had no idea who he was. He was just a fan that wanted to use my recipes. So he followed that. He lost 60 pounds, and he went to the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and he met Jack from Raw Tropical Living. And
Mhm.
he knew Jack and I were friends because I had gone to stay with Jack in Costa Rica for a little bit. And so he was like, oh yeah, I did Lissa's book, blah, blah, blah. So Jack messages me and he's like, you got to interview this guy for your YouTube channel because he's awesome. He followed your book. And I'm like, sweet, cool. So we set up the interview. And as soon as we got on the interview, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. And yeah, so we talked every single day since that interview. We fell in love and we just recently got married. So yeah, my whole life is totally different, and it is difficult to maneuver, especially with family, because family is a different kind of soul connection, right? It's just different, not like friendships. But I found that I'm just more of an influence, I guess, to them. Like, they're still going to follow me, obviously. Like, I have my aunt, she likes all of my posts, and my dad's girlfriend, she likes all my posts and stuff. So it's really nice to see that I'm inspiring them in some way. And when I go to family gatherings, I always bring my own food, and everyone's like, what, you eat all that? I remember going on a women's weekend where it was like all my aunts and cousins and my grandma and everyone, all the girls. We went on this weekend trip for 4 days, and I took all my food. I'd made my dressings. I had all the lettuce and the salads and everything. I took over a whole shelf in the fridge. Fruit in my room. I had tons of fruit in my room, and everyone was like, "You eat a lot." And I'm like, "Well, because I'm not eating anything else, so I got to eat a lot of food, right?" And they were all really surprised. They tasted my food. They enjoyed it. Of course, there was people who made little remarks and stuff, like friendly jokes. But really, I had to do it for me. I have to do it for me. And there's always going to be another event. There's always going to be another family reunion, Christmas, New Year's, birthday parties, summer vacations. There's always going to be something. So there's no better time to do it than today, really. But yeah, the social stuff is difficult, and you just have to learn to say no, and say no with love. I learned that too. Like, if they ask you questions, just be like, "No, but thanks for asking. I love you so much." Give them a big hug and change the subject, right?
Right.
I discovered that helps a lot to kind of just diffuse it, because sometimes you don't want to talk about it. You're just like, "Can I just eat my salad in peace?" But yeah, lots of changes.
What would you say? Would you say that people struggle, or you take it either way you want, other people or yourself, that people struggle because they have a really unsatisfactory relationship with food, or do people struggle because they have a really unsatisfactory relationship with themselves?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would say it's a combination of both. I
That
would
wasn't
say.
an option.
Oh, no, yeah. It's definitely a combination. And you know what I've noticed too? When I'm eating a big salad in front of somebody who, say, eats standard North American diet or whatever, and they say something to me, I know that it's their issue. They're just projecting it onto me. But my choice is a reflection to them, because they are looking at the salad thinking, I should be eating that. I know I eat like crap. And the fact that Lissa's choosing healthy means that my choice is unhealthy. That's in their mind. They're seeing that. They're like, well, my choice, if they're eating like a quesadilla or like a burger and fries or something, they know their choice is not the same as mine.
They know.
They know that internally. So then, as a defense mechanism, they make fun of me, or they say something, or they're like, "Oh, I could never do that. I love my fries too much." It's like they're trying to justify it within themselves. And I know that that's the fact. So I know it's not a reflection on me. I know that they're not making fun of my salad because they're making fun of me. They're making fun of it because they have their own internal issues going on with food, because they weren't taught properly. They are, when they're presented new information, their cognitive dissonance drops it, and they don't want to accept new information. I mean, when I was introduced to the low fat thing, even I experienced a little cognitive dissonance, because I had been indoctrinated to believe we needed all these healthy fats.
I
I was
remember
like,
the first guy that introduced me to raw foods, and he's showing me how you can make milk from almonds and this and that, and and obviously he was crazy.
right?
Fortunately, that was 42 years ago, and I'm glad that I still remember him, and at least it planted a seed. But I knew, I mean, cognitive dissonance. This guy was nuts.
Yep, I know, right? And you're like, you first hear about it, you're like, what? No grains? No bread? Seriously? No pasta? No cooking? What do you mean you don't cook? Like, I get so many, I mean, you do too, right? It's like we get so many of these questions because people just don't understand. It's not their frame of reference. It's not their reality.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And so for
Exactly.
me, it's my reality now. When people are like, how do you do it? It's like, well, it's just how life is. It's just what I eat. Like, I don't think anything else. Like, somebody mentioned an egg McMuffin the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, those exist. Like, I hadn't
Yeah,
thought of
they
one
still
in
have
like
those.
years. Yeah.
They still
So
have those. So this might seem an odd question. Um,
I love the odd ones.
if anything, because I know like you're helping people build their business and utilizing social media to its fuller capabilities and and you've progressed in many stages and now food isn't the big thing that it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and but it just became like the normal thing to eat low fat raw vegan. Um, what would you say most interests you about raw foods today, if
Today,
anything?
if any, for me personally, I would say it's the photography of all
Okay.
answers. Yeah, because I'm an artist and I love, I have such a deep passion for photography and art. I
Uh-huh.
haven't had time to do my art. I do want to paint like fruit bowls and salads and stuff and sell them eventually. I want some of the proceeds to go towards like helping with food desert stuff. I really want to work in that area eventually.
Right.
So that's kind of some stuff that I have going on that really interests me right now. But yeah, the social media aspect is like another one of my passions. Social media, photography. I love decorating pretty bowls of fruit and food and making displays and stuff. That really inspires me and motivates me as well. And obviously helping with the raw food, finding new solutions for people who have issues, right? Like trying to guide them or give them replacement options or help them with recipes or meal plans, trying to help them incorporate it into their life. I take that on as a challenge as
Sure.
well. So
Yes,
yeah.
you do.
So there are some things that still interest me. Yeah, like finding, also creating new recipes. That's fun too. It's a challenge because I already have so many books, right? So many recipe books. So like I want to write more. So I got to find like more ways to combine foods and yeah. It's a fun challenge.
Can you give us a sneak preview of maybe something that's a future plan or a future project for you?
Yes, I have a couple actually. Right now, I'm helping Nate with his nice cream book. So
Hmm.
we've got over 80 nice cream combination recipes in there. And then like most of them are obviously no fat, right? But we do have a small section for those who are trying to come off the vegan or the non-vegan ice cream who want like a kind of like a healthier option
Sure.
that's not animal products. So we have a small section in there for those people. And yeah, so it's kind of an overall all encompassing. You can find the recipe that jives with your lifestyle and do that. But that's what we've been working on right now. I'm like, all my hours that are free are spent on
Right.
that. Yeah, and then working with you guys with the Let's Cook Raw show has been wonderful as well. And working with Ted with the Course Creator Academy. So right now, we're doing the 5-day IG growth challenge. We're on day 3 today. We're doing a lot of stuff in the academy, trying to help people grow their businesses, grow their Instagram, their following, help them create ebooks and courses and coaching programs and all kinds of stuff, like helping those people build their businesses and try to get the message out to more people. Because the more of us speaking, the
Sure.
more, yeah, the more resonant there is. So yeah, that's one of the big projects, but I also have 2 other projects that I'm going to work on once the nice cream book is ready and released. I'm going to be writing a burger book. So it's going to be all raw burgers, different like low fat versions and higher fat versions if people want. But I'm going to have different burgers in there, sauces, different ways to wrap it, all kinds of good stuff in there. And I'm going to be making another book that's secret right now. So
Okay.
keeping it secret, but there's another one coming out and it's going to have a lot of like really fun recipes in there. So not, and I do want to make another meal plan as well.
Good
So
for you.
I just have way too many ideas going
No,
on.
no, no. Be the idea machine. That's your intellectual property, and that's where you want to really, really focus your efforts. Is
Mhm.
for me, I always tell people that for all the health gains, and they were huge health gains for me. For all of the health gains, the one that I'm most appreciative of is the fact that my brain got turned on. I could become the idea man. I could remember things. I can learn foreign languages now. I can remember people's names. I can, things that I couldn't do when I was on a cooked food diet, like the clarity of mind, my vocabulary, my grammar, things came back to me that I didn't even know that I'd been exposed to. Uh, this was the most important thing, was my head, so that I can still be the creative person that does what I'm good at, with connecting dots is my thing, and then saying therefore something should happen as a result. And uh, by all means, take advantage of your intellectual powers. That's the best gift you've got.
I
uh,
agree.
yeah. If you had a message or closing comments or advice or something that you wanted to tell the audience of, who knows who's going to ever see this, like a lot of people over time will see it
Mhm.
more and more as we get more chefs involved with, who knows where it's going to go. But what would be your words of advice to people who are thinking about either let's cook raw or going raw or have already
My,
been?
yeah, my best advice I would have to say for closing comments would be to look after yourself, because a lot of people put so many others in front of them, which is admirable, right? We want to be helping people. But if you don't help yourself first, you can't give your full self to others.
Mhm.
So by fueling yourself properly and taking the time to watch the Let's Cook Raw show, learn new recipes, go raw, like study, watch videos, and really feed yourself, give yourself that nourishment, then you can give so much more to others. I see this constantly, like mothers who are giving everything to their children, or friends who are just giving to their friends, and they feel depleted, and they're like, oh, I just do so much for everyone, but I don't do anything for myself, because they're putting others first. You have to put yourself first so that you can give to others. It's kind of like that psychological game,
It's a tricky
right?
balance, but it has to be that way. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So
Agree.
if you can feed yourself, if you can be vibrant, you can be a good example, you can motivate others, you can inspire others, you can help others. And if you, on the financial side, if you can grow a business and you can help others that way, you can financially help others as well with profits. You can donate and you can help, you can buy food for people. Like, there's so much to growing yourself that helps more people in the end. So helping yourself is the ultimate thing that you can do. And I would really highly encourage people to take that time that you feel that you don't have to really feed yourself with good information, positive people, sunshine, nature, exercise, all of the good stuff, right? We all know what we should be doing.
Oh,
So yeah, just make sure you take care of yourself.
well, thank you so very, very much, Lissa, for sharing what's in your mind and in your heart and doing it so eloquently. Really beautifully said. We look forward to having you back on the show many times and to seeing all of your projects come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.